The year I got my degree was the same year the government was pushing its new initiative to send university graduates out to work in rural communities. My fiancée, in an effort to keep a spot in the city for her best friend's younger brother, arranged for me to be the one sent away. I was gone for 7 years. When I finally came back, she had the nerve to propose to me in front of a whole room of people. A wave of applause and cheering went through the crowd. Everyone there just assumed I would say yes without a second thought. After all, I was the one who had chased after Clara Reed so persistently, the guy who managed to win over the most sought-after, untouchable girl at our university. But it seemed they'd all conveniently forgotten the other part of the story. They forgot that when it came down to it, Clara had picked another man. She let him take the city assignment that should have been mine and sent me to the countryside in his place. She had even threatened me with lies about my own parents to make sure I'd go. She forced me into 7 years of exile. Now I was back, and her best friend was telling me, "After you left, Clara used every connection she had to make sure you had an easier time out there. She hasn't been with anyone all these years. She was waiting for you the entire time." Listening to Chloe go on and on from the seat next to me, I couldn't stop my brow from furrowing. She just kept listing all the supposed sacrifices Clara had made for me. When she noticed my blank expression and the fact I hadn't said a word, she started to get agitated. "Can you at least say something? Clara did all of this for you. Don't you feel anything at all?" Her voice was sharp, and it cut through the low hum of conversation at our old class reunion, drawing eyes in our direction. I felt their stares, some just curious, others laced with a clear disdain. It had been 7 years since I'd even heard Clara's name spoken aloud. To me, it felt like a name from another lifetime, belonging to a person I barely knew anymore. Whatever intense feelings I once had for her had been scoured away by time and distance. 7 years ago, I had gotten on that train to the countryside with nothing but my luggage and a broken heart. Because of the circumstances of my return and my new life, hardly anyone besides my immediate family knew I was married. So I couldn't tell if Chloe was telling me all this on her own initiative, or if Clara herself had put her up to it, wanting to make sure I knew what she had supposedly been doing for me all this time. The thought made me frown again. Whatever happened between Clara and me, that was just us being young and foolish. Let's not talk about it anymore, I said, waving a dismissive hand, showing not a single shred of the nostalgia she was hoping for. A ripple of shock went through the people sitting around us. The entire noisy room fell quiet enough to hear a pin drop. Clara and I had known each other since we were kids. At some point, my friendly feelings for her had morphed into something more, something possessive. As the only son in my family, I was used to getting what I wanted, and I grew up with a healthy dose of confidence. Back then, I was convinced that if I just pursued something with enough passion, it would eventually be mine. So I went after Clara with everything I had. I took her to dinners and movies. When her mother got sick, I pleaded with my own parents to use their influence to get her the best surgeon. While she was busy at the hospital, I made sure she had food to eat, 3 meals a day. If any other guy so much as looked her way, I was there instantly, making it clear she wasn't available. When she decided she wanted to be a teacher, it was my father who pulled some strings to make her path into the school system a little smoother. And eventually, it all worked. The cool, distant Clara Reed started to soften. She'd remind me to wear a jacket when it was cold. She'd look after me when I was sick, and she'd comfort me when I was down. She even put up with my occasional moods and would sometimes act playful and cute just for me. When people called me a lovesick puppy for following her around, she would be the first one to jump to my defense. She started inviting me to events during her holidays and introducing me proudly to her circle of friends. I really believed we would just keep going like that, hand in hand, forever. That all changed about 3 months before the next round of countryside assignments were announced. That's when Daniel showed up again. He was a guy Clara had known back in middle school, someone she always spoke of with a certain glow. But I trusted Clara completely, so it never occurred to me to be suspicious. In fact, just because he was important to her, I tried to treat him like a friend. But soon after he arrived, Clara suddenly had no time for me. Even on her days off, she never made an effort to see me. When I tried to find her, she'd brush me off with the excuse that she was too busy. On the day of our 2-year anniversary, she told me she had to work and couldn't celebrate. Something felt wrong. I distinctly remembered her telling me just a few days prior that she had that specific day off. The school administration respected my father too much to suddenly burden her with last-minute work. My suspicion got the better of me, and I went to her school only to be told she'd taken the day off and wasn't there. One of her colleagues mentioned she'd seen her heading toward the big department store downtown. Without a second thought, I went straight there. And I found her. She was walking side by side with Daniel, their arms loaded with shopping bags. They were laughing together, looking for all the world like a couple completely smitten with each other. Walking with them was Clara's younger sister, Sophie, who was looking up at Daniel with a starstruck expression. "Daniel, you and my sister just look so perfect together," she said with a giggle. "Maybe I should just start calling you my brother-in-law now." Daniel just smiled happily. Clara glanced at her sister and said, "Don't be ridiculous." But there was no heat in her voice. It was more fond than annoyed. I could see the slight smile playing on her own lips. She clearly didn't mind her sister's comment at all. In fact, her expression gave away her true feelings. A sharp, sour pain bloomed in my chest. It felt like every breath was a razor blade. Maybe she felt my stare, because she suddenly turned and saw me standing a short distance away. My eyes were probably red and filled with a mixture of hurt and anger, but she didn't look guilty or apologetic. She didn't move to comfort me. If anything, she looked annoyed. "What are you doing here?" she asked. That one question lit a fire in my gut. As a man, there was no way I could just stand there and take that kind of humiliation. I walked right up to her. "So, this is the urgent school matter you couldn't get away from." My voice was dripping with sarcasm. My attitude only seemed to irritate her more. "Daniel is a new administrator," she snapped. "The principal asked me to help him get settled since we were old classmates. I'm here on official business. Can you please get your facts straight before you start questioning me?" I stared at her, completely stunned. Clara had always been a bit reserved, but she had never, ever spoken to me so harshly, especially not in front of other people. Realizing she might have gone too far, she glanced at me with a flicker of nervousness and quickly reached for my hand. "Leo, I'm sorry. I was too harsh. I didn't mean it like that." I pulled my hand back. Taking a deep breath, I tried to wrestle down the rage boiling inside me. "Then what did you mean? If you were busy, you could have just told me. You didn't have to lie." I was still furious, but she reached out again, her soft fingers wrapping tightly around my hand. "I didn't lie to you. The principal really did ask me to do this at the last minute, and I also wanted to get you a gift, since I haven't had much time for you lately." Her words soothed some of the ache. It felt, for a moment, like I still mattered. But then I remembered what her sister had said, and the bitterness came rushing back. Then why did Sophie call him her brother-in-law? I looked over at Sophie. A moment ago, she'd been gazing at Daniel with pure admiration. Now she was looking at me with a sour expression, her contempt barely veiled, as if I were some thief who had just stolen something from her. Clara's eyes followed mine, and she sighed. "That kid just says whatever pops into her head. She knows perfectly well who her real brother-in-law is. Once I'm done here, I'll go home and cook for you, okay?" She was a fantastic cook, but she rarely did it because she was always so busy. In that moment, her soft tone and gentle words almost completely eroded the anger still lodged in my chest. I was about to nod, to let it go, when Daniel walked over. "Leo, I'm so sorry," he said. "I'm new at the school, and the principal was just worried I wouldn't adjust. So he asked Clara to help me get a few things. If it's really a problem, I can ask him to find someone else." As he spoke, he looked down, his eyes getting red as he dabbed at their corners. Immediately, Sophie, who had been standing there quietly, erupted. "Why are you always such a bully? It's bad enough that you bully my sister, but now you're picking on Daniel, too. What is wrong with you?" she yelled, pointing a finger right at my face. I was floored. I had always been nothing but kind to her. Because I loved Clara, I had extended that love to her sister, trying to give her anything she ever wanted. I never imagined this was how she actually saw me. Clara let go of my hand and walked over to Daniel's side. She spoke to him softly, even ruffling his hair. With just a few gentle words, the crying Daniel was calmed. Watching them, my heart felt heavy with a bitter sorrow. That night Clara did cook me a meal, but I couldn't taste any of it. The whole time I just felt miserable and suffocated. She was sitting right beside me, putting food on my plate, but every other sentence was about Daniel. Daniel was my classmate in middle school. He helped me a lot back then. I had my sister, school, and my mom to take care of. He was a huge support. I just feel like I owe him. You know you're the one I love." She held my hand and looked at me with such sincerity as she made her promise. Staring into those earnest eyes, my anger started to fade. Thinking about everything we had been through together, I could only sigh and nod. I chose to let it go. Then she took out a small box. Inside was a merit medal from her work. "I had a breakthrough in my research," she explained. "The school gave me this award, and I want it to be a symbol of our love. Today is our 2nd anniversary. I hope we have many more to come." She pushed the box toward me. Her words warmed me. I accepted the medal with a nod, then pulled her into a hug and kissed her forehead. The resentment I felt seemed to melt away in her tenderness. I never would have guessed that this warm moment would be so temporary. From that day forward, she started spending even more time with Daniel. They'd travel to and from work together, and on weekends she would take him shopping. They were always together, their interactions close and familiar. It started to look like they were the real couple. Soon enough, rumors started swirling around our neighborhood that Clara and I had broken up, that she had dumped me. Before I even had a chance to figure out where the rumors were coming from, Daniel showed up at my door. He was holding a plate of dumplings and smiling. "I brought these for you. Sophie and I made them for Clara today." I took the plate, ready to send him on his way, but he just pushed past me into my apartment. The friendly smile vanished, replaced by a sneer. "I know Clara only got with you because you wouldn't leave her alone," he said. "You've got guts, I'll give you that, but you're kind of pathetic. It's obvious she's into me, not you. If you had any sense, you'd just walk away." Looking at his smug face, all I wanted to do was hit him, but I knew I couldn't. If I touched him, it would only make things worse. Seeing that I wasn't rising to the bait, he got even bolder, leaning in closer. "Fine, let me just show you who she really wants." I told Clara exactly what he'd said, word for word, but she refused to believe me. She accused me of making it up. "I know you don't like Daniel, Leo, but that doesn't give you the right to slander him. He's a kind, respectful person." Her voice was laced with an anger I'd never heard directed at me before. Before I could say anything else, she continued, "I always thought you were a bit proud, but at least I thought you were a good person. I never thought you'd stoop this low. I'm so disappointed in you." Her words were like daggers. I couldn't believe this was coming from the woman I loved, my fiancée. I just watched her walk away, a cold feeling spreading through my chest. "You're saying I'm a bad person? That I disappointed you?" She paused, as if she didn't know how to answer. After a moment of silence, she finally said, "I'll speak to the principal. I won't have any contact with Daniel from now on. I'm also going to be really busy with my research for a while, so we probably won't see each other. You should use this time to think about what you did wrong." And with that, she turned and left. It made me wonder if I should even be with her at all. After all the time and effort I'd put in, what was I actually getting in return? I was furious. I decided to give her the silent treatment, and she was true to her word. She was busy. She never came to see me again. A month later, I saw her at the department store, and she walked right past me like I was a complete stranger. I thought that eventually one of us would break the silence, but instead of an apology, the next thing I received was an official notice from the government. I was being assigned to the countryside. I had grown up sheltered, the only son. My parents had already arranged a good job for me right after graduation. But now, when the list of names for the Rural Development Program was posted, mine was on it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I went straight to find Clara. She was the one in charge of the registration for the program. There was no way she didn't know. When I found her, she was laughing with Daniel. They looked like a happy couple. A few of her friends, including Chloe, were standing with them. The second I walked in, the laughter died. The air in the room went still. "Clara, I need an explanation," I said. I kept my voice calm, but my eyes were full of disappointment. She looked at me and sighed. "I knew you'd come find me about this. Every family is expected to support the rural assignment program. You know that." Of course, I knew. I nodded. "Then you knew my name was on the list? Why is my name there and not his?" I had seen the original list. Daniel's name had been on it, not mine, but now his name was crossed out, replaced with mine. Clara's lips pressed into a thin line. Before she could answer, Daniel stepped forward. "Leo, I already have a job. I don't need to go to the countryside. You shouldn't be accusing Clara like this. You're her fiancé. Saying things like that is going to hurt her." His words cut me deep. I looked directly at Clara, my lips trembling. "So, that's how it is?" She glanced at me, and her expression was a complicated mix of hesitation, conflict, and a strange sort of resolve. "Your family is comfortable, Leo. You have your parents and your sister. Daniel, he's all alone." Hearing that, I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. This was the girl I had grown up with, the woman I had loved for more than a decade. If I could go back, I would rather have never met her, never loved her. Shaking my head, I took a step back. The disappointment in my eyes seemed to sting her, and she reached out as if to stop me. But Daniel moved first, blocking her and looking at me with triumph in his eyes. It was just for a second before he put on his pitiful act again. "Leo, if you make things difficult for her like this, the school might start to think she has questionable morals. Do you want to ruin her future?" He didn't even let me speak before he continued. "I know you want my job. Your father already came and warned me to stay away from Clara. I'll listen, okay?" He even managed to squeeze out a tear. Clara looked like something inside her had just snapped. "What did you say? He warned you?" Chloe quickly chimed in. "I saw an aide from Commander Law's office talking to Daniel." With that confirmation, Clara's face turned ugly. "Leo, I can't believe you've become this kind of person. Daniel is an orphan. I was just looking out for him as an old friend. I can't believe you'd be so jealous that you'd use your family's power to pressure him. I used to think you were just a little arrogant. Now I see you're just rotten." Her words were poison. For the first time, tears streamed down my face. I wiped them away with my sleeve and looked up at her. "In your heart, is that really what you think of me? Of my family? You didn't even try to find out the truth before you started throwing around accusations?" I stared at her, but she just met my gaze with anger. "They have no reason to lie to me." The moment she said that, I felt a physical pain in my chest. Chloe and the others started whispering, their eyes now full of disgust as they looked at me. "If you don't want to go to the countryside," Clara snapped, "I have evidence that your father abused his power to get you out of it." When those words came out of her mouth, I knew. There was nothing left for us. To protect Daniel, she was willing to destroy my family. "I'll go," was all I said to her. Then I turned around and walked out. Before I left town, I had my sister return the medal she had given me. And that was the end of more than 20 years of history between us. Coming back to the present, I looked at Chloe and said, "Sorry, it's all in the past now. We should all be looking forward." Seeing me get up to leave, she quickly called out, "Leo, I know you're still angry, but don't you think Clara deserves a chance to explain herself?" I frowned. "What's there to explain? Besides, I'm married now." The entire room fell silent again. Everyone stared at me. Even Chloe looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "What did you say? You're married? How could you be married? You were so in love with Clara." As soon as she spoke, others started chiming in, none of them believing me. "Leo, married? No way." He used to follow Clara around like a lost dog. Exactly. A guy that desperate? Who would want him? He was supposed to marry Clara. I don't believe it. He's just saying that to be stubborn. One nasty comment followed another, but I acted like I didn't hear them. I just looked calmly at Chloe. "Do you think I'm lying too?" She froze, looking like she wanted to argue, but she just shook her head. "Honestly, I probably shouldn't even be in the middle of this, but I just feel like Clara gave up so much for you. The least you can do is see her. No matter what, you two should at least have a proper conversation." Her voice had softened, but I could still see the disbelief in her eyes. After all, I had once chased Clara with a devotion that bordered on obsession, willing to give up my pride for her. But even a fire that bright can be put out. "I am married," I stated plainly. It didn't matter if they believed me or not. I knew explaining it further would be pointless. People only see what they want to see. I remembered that I'd promised my daughter I would be home early for her birthday, so I had no intention of staying. I stood up to go. Chloe blocked my path. "You're already here. Just wait a little longer. Clara is on her way." Just as I was about to refuse, the door to the private room opened, and a slightly out-of-breath Clara walked in. She was dressed in a sharp, professional suit, with gold-rimmed glasses that made her already cool eyes seem even more distant. She had an air of refined detachment that made you feel like you could only admire her from a distance. But the second her eyes landed on me, all that coolness melted away, replaced by a wave of unmistakable tenderness. She walked quickly toward me, forcing a stiff, awkward smile. "Leo, it's been a long time." A faint blush colored her cheeks, and her eyes held a quiet hope. I just gave a polite nod. "Clara, long time no see." Her smile froze. A flicker of sadness crossed her face, and her entire posture seemed to slump. "Leo, are you still angry with me? Why are you acting like we're strangers? That's not how we're supposed to be. It really hurts me when you act like this." She looked so wounded. In the past, that look was all it took. No matter how mad I was, I'd end up being the one to comfort her. She was trying the same trick now, but unfortunately for her, I wasn't the same person anymore. I looked at her calmly. "Miss Reed, we haven't seen each other in 7 years. This distance between us is exactly how it should be. I couldn't forgive what happened back then, and I certainly can't forgive it now." With that, I picked up my jacket and turned to leave. It was getting late, and I needed to get home to Lily. She was waiting for me to celebrate her birthday. I stepped past Clara and walked toward the door, but she suddenly grabbed my wrist. Then, she dropped to one knee and pulled out a small box. Inside was a medal and a ring. It was the same merit medal she had given me all those years ago, as a symbol of our engagement, the one I had made sure to return to her. Caught off guard, I watched as she took out the ring and tried to slide it onto my finger. "Marry me, Leo." Her voice was thick with emotion, almost desperate, as if she thought the ring could anchor me to her. "Clara, I think you have me confused with someone else," I said coolly. "My name isn't Daniel." Hearing his name, her urgent expression shifted bizarrely into one of subtle smugness. She gripped my hand tighter. "Leo, are you jealous? I admit what happened with the countryside assignment was unfair to you, but I did it for you. For your family. Daniel said that if he didn't have to go, he wouldn't report your parents for trying to use their influence. I knew how much you cared about them." Seeing that she was about to launch into a long explanation, I pulled my hand free. "First of all, I never did anything to Daniel that I needed to feel guilty about, so I don't need you making choices for me. Second, if my parents had actually done something wrong, he was free to report them. He couldn't prove anything with empty words. And finally, let's stop talking about the past. There is no future for us. None. Because I'm already married, and my daughter is 4 years old. So please, Miss Reed, stop saying things that might create a misunderstanding. I wouldn't want my wife to get the wrong idea." My words made the color drain from her face. She grabbed my arm in a panic, shaking it. "What did you say? You're married? You have a 4-year-old daughter? Leo, you're just saying that to hurt me, right? You're angry. You're trying to get back at me. Didn't you tell me once that you only ever wanted to marry me? How could you marry someone else?" She leaned closer, her eyes searching my face, desperate for me to take it all back. But as I looked at her, I felt nothing but a calm emptiness. On her face, which had once been so composed and untouchable, there was now panic, regret, and fear. I had only seen her look that way once before, when her mother was in the hospital. "Leo, why didn't you wait for me?" she asked, her voice laced with accusation, as if I was the one who had betrayed her. "I was working so hard to find a way to get you back." "Wait for you?" I asked. "Clara, have you forgotten how long I already waited for you back then?" She froze, as if a memory she had long buried had just broken through the surface. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Finally, she managed to whisper, "Daniel and I. We were really just friends." She was desperately trying to explain, but I just gently pushed her hands away and took a step back. "Clara, it's not about what you say. It's about what you did. How many times did you fight with me over him? How many times did you lie to me about being busy so you could go shopping with him? Is that what love is? If you really loved me, I should have been your priority, not the person you always left waiting." My words made her stagger back. She had to grab the back of a chair to steady herself. She was once the brilliant, celebrated girl of our university. No one had ever seen the proud Clara Reed look so broken. The people around us, listening to our exchange, started to piece together the past. "I remember now. Didn't Clara break off the engagement with Leo to be with Daniel?" "Yeah? And didn't she put Leo's name on the countryside list herself?" "So why is she acting like she's so in love with him now?" "Some people don't know what they have until it's gone, but nobody waits around forever." Their comments were an echo of everything I used to feel, but hearing them now stirred nothing in me. I just looked at her pale, stricken face. "Miss Reed, some things are better left in the past. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. My daughter is waiting for me." With that, I turned and walked toward the door again, but she rushed to block my path, staring into my eyes. When she met my cold gaze, however, she flinched and instinctively stepped aside. I didn't say another word and walked out of the room. Still, she wouldn't give up, following closely behind me all the way to the front gate of the restaurant. Just as I stepped outside, a tiny whirlwind of motion came sprinting toward me. A little girl with dark hair flew into my legs and hugged them tight. "Daddy!" Her voice was bright and full of pure happiness. I gently took her hand and squatted down, pulling her into a warm hug. "Lily, did you miss me?" I whispered into her hair. Then, a graceful figure came into view. My wife, Maya, her beautiful face lighting up the moment she saw me. "Honey." Her figure was stunning, even more so after having our child. She had an elegance about her, but also a sensuality that was all her own. To most people, she had a cool, untouchable air, a silent warning not to get too close. But the smile she gave me now was pure warmth as she walked up and took my outstretched hand. I took her hand in mine, and she nestled up against my side. "Tired?" she asked softly. Her voice, even after 5 years of marriage, still had the power to stop me in my tracks. I shook my head. Not tired. The spark between us was as strong as ever. "Daddy, you can't forget me just because Mommy's here," Lily protested from my arms. "It's my birthday. You have to love me more today." Yes, I cooed. "It's Lily's birthday, so Daddy loves Lily the most today. We'll just put Mommy aside for a little bit, okay?" Someone was clearly not happy with that arrangement. "No way," Maya said, her eyes locking with mine, full of a love so deep it still felt like I could fall into it forever. "I should always be first." "Mommy's being mean. She's stealing Daddy." Lily squirmed in my arms. Maya just laughed and squeezed my hand. "Are you cold? Lily couldn't find you at home and insisted we come get you. The reservation at the restaurant is ready. I figured it was about time to pick you up." I nodded with a smile. "Yeah, perfect timing." Maya smiled back and linked her arm in mine, ready to head to the car. But just as we took a step, a shaky, heartbroken voice called out from behind us, "Leo!" Clara looked fragile and worn out, her eyes heavy with sadness. Maya and I turned to look at her together. I frowned. "What is it, Miss Reed? Is there something else?" Clara's gaze fell on our interlocked hands. Her lips parted, but she just shook her head, defeated. Her body swayed, and for a moment I thought she might fall. I gave a slight nod, and Lily, who I'd lifted onto my shoulders, looked at Clara with curiosity. "Daddy, is that lady sick? She looks like she's going to fall over." I gently pinched her cheek, not sure what to say. Maya looked at our daughter with a smile in her eyes. "Lily, it's your birthday. Don't you want to get some cake?" Like any kid, Lily was instantly distracted. "Yes, let's go right now," she bounced excitedly. "Leo!" Clara's voice came again, filled with a sorrow that was almost tangible. Her face was pale, her eyes swimming with grief. I felt a flash of impatience and was about to say something, but Maya stepped forward. She looked directly at Clara. "You must be Miss Reed. As a teacher, shouldn't you know better? Calling out to my husband like this? Do you have something urgent to say? My daughter is still too young for your school." Her words were polite, but the message was clear. Back off. Clara's reaction was instant. Anger and jealousy flashed in her eyes. "So you're Leo's wife?" "Yes." Maya's grip on my hand tightened, as if trying to merge us into one. "Then do you know," Clara said, her voice dripping with bitterness, "that your husband once chased another woman and was about to marry her?" Maya's expression didn't change, but I knew her. Beneath that calm surface, a storm was brewing. I let go of her hand and put my arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. "Miss Reed, you said it yourself. Almost. What was almost back then is a lifetime away from what's real now. Besides, we all make mistakes when we're young. Mistaking a toxic person for treasure isn't exactly a new story. But don't be in such a hurry to claim that title for yourself. That said, I should probably thank you. If it weren't for you, I never would have gone to the countryside. I never would have met my wife. Because of you, I have a happy family and a woman who looks at me like I'm her entire world. So I'd advise you not to interfere with what my wife and I have, because nothing, not even you, will ever come between us. I could forgive what she did to me, but I would never let her hurt my family. For the people I loved, I would fight back without hesitation. Clara stared at me, her face a mask of disbelief. Toxic? Is that really what you think of me? Yes. And if I had the choice, I'd rather we never knew each other at all. With that, I gently tugged on Maya's arm. She understood. She linked her arm with mine and led us confidently towards the car. She turned to me and asked softly, "Was everything you just said true?" "Of course it was," I replied. "Whatever was between Clara and me is over. The only people I love are you and Lily." We celebrated Lily's birthday, and the warmth and joy of my family felt like a protective bubble. It was as if the whole ugly history with Clara had never even happened. I thought that would be the last I'd see of her. I was wrong. The next time I went to my parents' house, she was there, standing at the gate, waiting for me. She looked even thinner and more tired than before. The arrogant air she used to carry was completely gone, replaced by a deep weariness. Seeing her there, waiting for me, a wave of impatience washed over me. "Clara, what do you want now?" That last encounter had left Maya extra clingy. She had punished me for half the night. Honestly, every time I saw Clara now, I felt like I was looking at a walking disaster. I wanted nothing to do with her. But I knew if I didn't handle this once and for all, she would just keep showing up, a ghost haunting the edges of my life. "Leo, please, just give me a chance to talk to you properly," she begged, her voice trembling. "There's nothing to talk about," I said, shaking my head. But she wouldn't give up. "I know, I was wrong back then. I shouldn't have doubted you because of Daniel. I shouldn't have taken his name off the list and sent you away to suffer." I cut her off. "The past is the past. Let's stop digging it up. We need to look forward." The undisguised impatience on my face must have finally gotten through to her. She saw that I truly didn't care anymore, and panic flashed in her eyes. "Leo, I'm so sorry. I was just angry. I couldn't believe you would do something like that. Daniel was my classmate. He was smart, and he was all alone. I instinctively sided with him. I know it was my fault." Her words made me laugh, a cold, empty sound. "Clara, you say he was your smart, moral classmate. What about me? I grew up with you. Did I not treat you well? Maybe I was a little spoiled, but I never did anything dishonorable. So why was his word gold, and mine was garbage? In the end, it's simple. You wanted to believe him. You chose not to believe me. Or maybe the truth is that your heart was already leaning his way." Hearing this, she scrambled to explain. "No, it wasn't like that. I only ever saw him as a classmate I wanted to help. I've been waiting for you to come back all these years. I always hoped we could be together again. Leo, in this life, I only want to be with you. I know I made mistakes, but please, I'm begging you, give me a chance to fix it." She was pleading, but all I felt was tired. "Clara, is that all you have to say?" My question stunned her into silence. Seeing the calm indifference on my face, she started to look desperate again. "Leo, do you really think none of this matters? For 7 years, all I've thought about is getting you back. I've thought about you constantly. I've waited." She searched my eyes, looking for any hint of softness. All I could do was shake my head. "Clara, you were the one who let Daniel cross the line. Let's be honest. Sophie's attitude toward him came from you, didn't it? Without your silent permission, she never would have dared to call him brother-in-law in front of you. You always knew how to shut down unwanted attention from other people. But with Daniel, you always looked the other way. So even if it hadn't been him, it would have been someone else." I took a deep breath. "In the past, I gave you all of my love. That means I also have the right to take it all back. Now I only love my wife, my daughter, and my family. They are the only people who matter to me. I hope you'll stop showing up in my life and disrupting it." With that, I turned to go into my parents' house. She chased after me, grabbing my arm. "Yes, I did have some feelings for Daniel," she blurted out. "But it was only because we had been fighting, and he was there. He comforted me. But please believe me, I have only ever loved you. I always wanted to be with you." Hearing her emotional confession, I shoved her hand away, restraining the urge to do more. "Enough, Clara, don't you get it? I'm a man. I have my pride. Even if nothing ever happened between you and Daniel, I still wouldn't take you back. I have a family now. I have someone I love. And you will never be the person I choose." She froze, completely stunned. I had no desire to drag it out. I picked up my things and walked into the house, feeling her eyes on my back the entire way. I didn't look back. She was once the great love of my youth, but that was a long time ago. In fact, I couldn't even really remember why I had liked her so much in the first place. Whatever we had was over. When I left my parents' house later, she was gone. I let out a long sigh of relief. But when Maya got home that evening, she was glaring at me. "What's wrong?" I asked playfully, wrapping my arms around her waist. She finally huffed. "When were you going to tell me that Clara came to see you again today?" So that was it. I nodded seriously. She was waiting for me at the gate. "What did she want this time?" Maya asked through gritted teeth, looking like she wanted to find Clara and have a serious talk. I couldn't help but tease her. "She said she still wants to be with me, even with a wife and a kid. Said she'd give up everything if I'd just agree." "Give up everything?" Maya snapped. "If I don't go over there and teach her the meaning of that phrase." She looked like she was about to march out the door, so I quickly wrapped my arms around her from behind. "I'm kidding." The next thing I knew, the world was spinning, and she was sitting on top of me. "You dare lie to me?" I playfully tapped her nose and then pulled her into my arms. Her loving eyes were locked on mine. "Leo, we're married. We have Lily. I am never, ever divorcing you, and I am never letting you go. Even if you try to run, I will hold on to you so tight. I will always treat you well and never give anyone else a chance." As she spoke, she leaned in and pressed a soft kiss to my face. I couldn't find any words, so I just held her face in my hands and kissed her back, again and again. Only when she had calmed down did I speak. "You don't have to worry. I never planned on leaving, and I already told Clara there's no going back for me. In my heart, there's only room for you and Lily." The moment the words left my mouth, her breath was on me again, warm and intense. All I know is that night she left me completely drained. After that, Clara really did disappear from my life. She got a transfer to another city. Whether she requested it herself or someone else pulled some strings, I never found out. But either way, it was a good thing. As long as my wife was happy and at peace, I had no complaints. A year later, during the spring festival, I happened to see her outside my parents' neighborhood. She was much thinner. We made eye contact for only a second before we both, as if by some unspoken agreement, turned and walked away from each other. I knew then that whatever story we once shared was well and truly over. All I wanted now was to cherish the people who were by my side and protect the family I had built with everything I had.